It is a little bit of a poison chalice that he's just won, and we'll have to see, how he does with it. Yeah, it's a very, very difficult job.
Let us turn to New York. Zohran Mamdani, a 34-year-old self-described democratic socialist, has become mayor of New York. He's the city's first Muslim mayor and the youngest in more than 100 years.
I wish Andrew Cuomo only the best in private life. But let tonight be the final time I utter his name as we turn the page on a politics that abandons the many and answers only to the few.
Well, if you want to watch more of that speech, you can do so on the Times YouTube channel. Donald Trump doesn't think much of Mamdani, surprisingly. He's called him a communist. He's been threatening to restrict funding to the city. Jack, New York is often a surprisingly left-wing place, but having an actual sort of declared socialist governing the city, it is Donald Trump's home turf. It feels like a bit of a moment.
It's definitely a bit of a moment. It sets up a political battleground for the next few years. If it all goes wrong for Mamdani, it's a gift for the MAGA right. Though he is a man of extraordinary appeal. There are Mamdani MAGA supporters. Somebody of a cruel persuasion might suggest that these are people who are looking for easy answers. But he's certainly somebody who has been able to energise the youth. He's following in the footsteps of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders, speaking to a generation which has been overlooked. It is generally foolish to draw parallels between British and American politics, but it is very noticeable across not just those democracies, but other democracies, that there are generations who are looking for people who are giving straightforward left-wing approaches to essentially the cost of living. It all boils down to the cost of living.
It all boils down to the cost of living. Well, let's try and understand a bit more about Mamdani. Let's bring in Sarah Churchwell, Professor of Public Humanities at the University of London. Sarah, hello, good morning.
Hello, morning.
Help us understand this man. Help British listeners understand. How left-wing is Zoran Mandani?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because I actually think it's an important thing for us to frame a little more clearly, because, of course, it's his critics who are framing him in those terms. I mean, I'll just give one example. He's called for a 2% corporate tax rise, which would bring New York City in line with that Bolshevik hotbed New Jersey, right? So he's not calling for the abolition of private property. He's calling for affordable housing and rent control. He's calling for, free public transport. So he's run on a platform of making New York City an affordable place for more people to live. And that has proved to be enormously popular, as you were just saying, not only with the youth vote, who have just turned out enormously in New York, but also with, older voters and other voters across political persuasions, because affordable cost of living issues are, a matter of everyone. The other thing that's important to say about Mamdani is that he also ran on values. He wasn't just running on an economic platform here. He was running on values about inclusivity, about being himself an immigrant and being pro-immigration, about being pro-LGBT. So he ran on a platform of joy. He ran on a platform of loving New York and loving your city, and that was incredibly appealing as well. And so his critics are going to frame him strictly in terms of being, having radical economic policies, but that is not the campaign that he ran.
I mean, in a sort of, if we can put him in a British political spectrum, which I appreciate is hard to do because the context is very different, where is he? Is he Jeremy Corbyn, or is he just Ed Miliband, or even Ed Davey?
Well, he's somewhere in there, right? And part of that is we'll see where he lands, right? I mean, he is an assemblyman right now. He doesn't have a huge track record. So we only know what he said he wants to do. But like I said, I mean, a 2% corporate tax rise puts him, more in the Ed Miliband territory than it does in the Jeremy Corbyn territory, right? So we'll have to see what he can actually pass. He's talked about some state-run grocery stores, which is maybe more Corbyn territory than Miliband territory. So he's finding his way through that. But I think, I agree entirely with the point that was made a minute ago, that what he's showing is that there is a real appetite, certainly in New York, for genuine left-wing policies. and for thinking about affordability and, issues like that.
How difficult and in some ways horrible is the job of being mayor of New York City? I know Bernie Sanders at one stage advised him not to do it, saying it was an impossible job. Some have referred to it as the second hardest job in American politics after being president. It's a difficult role?
Yeah.
Oh, have we still?
Yeah, it is a little bit of a poison chalice that he's just won, and we'll have to see, how he does with it. Yeah, it's a very, very difficult job, and but look, there was a TikTok video that went out after his win of somebody just holding their phone out their window, and there were just cheers on the streets of New York. You would think that the Yankees just won the World Series. I mean, it was literally they were cheering and shouting his name. So he's got the goodwill. He has a huge. I mean, it was a big turnout, and he's really redrawn the map. So there are a lot of people pulling for him in the city, and and also he's shown that he can build a coalition. He is working with he's been working with his former rivals. He's now building this partnership to work with people. So he's sending the signals that he wants to actually make change, but we'll have to see if he can do that.
Well, I've got you, Sarah. Let's talk a bit about what this means for the Democrats more broadly, because this wasn't just a good night for Democrats in New York. They also won 2 governor races in Virginia and New Jersey, and they had some sort of triumphs in California as well. All of which are sort of won by more moderate Democrats. Should we be thinking of the Democrats as moving towards the Mamdani direction, or is there still a big place for people like Gavin Newsom, the California governor, who looks more like the sort of Joe Biden kind of Democrat?
Well, I think this is really going to be a big question for the Democrats in the run-up to the midterms. Are they going to run more Mamdani-style candidates and in hopes of bringing out the youth vote? Mamdani has certainly indicated that he's got a winning approach for younger voters because he did carry them. But as you say, California had a big night too. Prop 50, which is a redistricting bill in California in order to get more Democratic seats to the House of Representatives and use that as a way to redraw Congress in the midterms. That also just won in a blowout. And it's important to say that these wins, both Mamdani and Prop 50, they called them the instant that the polls closed. So they weren't anywhere near close. These were really, really, these were mandates, right? And across local and state elections, Democrats have been carrying important local elections, not only in Democrat strongholds, but also in some important swing states like Virginia, like Pennsylvania, where, for example, the Democrats held the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court, which is really important for electoral oversight so that we know that we don't have a MAGA Supreme Court overseeing the midterm election in a swing state like Pennsylvania. These are really important results, too.
Sarah Churchwell, Professor of Public Humanities at the University of London, thank you very much indeed.